listening to In the Books, a podcast where we discuss book-to-screen adaptations. And fear not, we are here to distract you for the next half an hour. God knows I need the distraction. This is Michelle. I live over here in the States, and you can find me at Musings on Instagram.
I'm Rita. I'm at Annoying Rita. I've never been more happy to be European, except for the news about Germany. That's not so good. But other than that, we're back. And we're discussing episode 7 of My Lady Jane. It's titled Another Girl, Another Planet, which is a song by the Only Ones, released in 1978. Full disclosure, I'm millennial as fuck. So I know this song because it was covered by Blink-182, and it's the one that goes, I think I'm on another world with you. Another one of those songs you only know when you hear it sung. And if somebody says the title to you, you're like, I don't know that. You do. I promise you do. Anyway.
It's in there somewhere.
It's been played in the back of some kind of insurance advert, I'm sure. Anyway, this episode was directed by Stefan Schwartz and written by show creator Gemma Burgess and Meredith Glynn. To the recap.
Ha-ha! We kick off where we left off with Jane trapped. Lord Seymour rips the crown off her head and hands it over to Mary, who crowns herself and tells Jane, "You lose." In the bushes, Guilford, who is now a man, watches on helplessly.
I love that I have to make that distinction. Guilford horse, Guilford man.
Yes. Yes. Gotta be clear what's going on. The next morning, Mary enters the Privy Council chambers. The nobility all bow as she approaches her throne. She makes a very regal speech, but cuts herself off to get to the revenge part. She announces that Jane Grey will have her head struck from her neck until she is super duper dead. Like super duper. Meanwhile, Jane is sent home under house arrest to await her grisly fate. She tries to comfort the poor servants who are crying as they receive her, but she realizes as the door closes behind her and her house arrest begins that she doesn't actually have a plan to fix this.
When we cut back to the palace, Mary is literally strong-arming Elizabeth and telling her that while she's able to let bygones be bygones, she's on very thin fucking ice. And the next time Bess disobeys her queen, off will be coming her head, along with Jane. Meanwhile, Frances is telling her daughters to fear not. If her parents could escape the chop after pissing off Henry VIII with their clandestine marriage, then literally anything is possible. She says there's always a way out if you know how to play the game. Unluckily for them, gamesmanship is her second best skill, after fellatio. What a queen. Outside.
Go girl.
No wonder Stan is so in love.
Yes.
Outside the palace gates, we find Edward, who approaches one of the guards and declares himself to be the not-so-dead king. He needs to get back inside in time to save his cousin. As you can imagine, this doesn't go very well for him, as the guards think he's crazy, and Fitz has to literally pull him away before he gets himself killed. He offers to, instead, buy Edward a pint. Inside, an annoyed Mary is listening to Frances' sycophantic pleading for her daughter's life. Frances even offers up the substantial fortune Catherine's inherited, but Mary will not budge. Her daughter will die, and there's nothing she can do about it. She then offers to make Margaret one of her ladies-in-waiting, and drops the bombshell that Margaret helped them escape. Naturally, Frances is furious, storms off to yell at her youngest daughter. Catherine watches on disapprovingly as Frances calls Margaret a wild, ungodly, curdled child.
God.
How can you be
curdled?
Curdled is what struck me.
Yeah, same.
She's not cheese.
Here. No, I knew that was going to sting. That evening, Mary is hovering over everyone at dinner, making awful cringe jokes and generally being the worst. She even raises a glass to toast to Jane's execution. Norfolk interrupts and tells her that the English dislike the notion that their divinely appointed monarch is a bloodthirsty tyrant who executes her enemies willy-nilly. He suggests a trial instead, just as they did with Bess's mother, Anne Boleyn, who became a figure of ridicule following her trial. It's so easy when it's a woman. Mary reluctantly agrees.
I hate men.
Yeah. Bess interrupts, telling her that if she doesn't pardon Jane, her cause and support for the Ethians will only grow across the land. Mary yells that she will purge the Ethians from the land, pissing off Petunia, who transforms from a dog to a human and attempts to stab Mary. She misses and is chased by a guardsman, so she changes back to a dog and flees. Bess is worried about Petunia, and this is Mary's last straw. She has Elizabeth locked in her room and tells her that if I didn't need the world to see us as loyal and united, I'd kill you myself. This woman she's a mess.
She's already killed one sibling, so I'd watch out and see.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Guilford finds his brother and father at a safe house located somewhere deep in the woods. He tells them he wants to try and save Jane, but his father is deeply reluctant to risk his neck on some dashing plan of rescue against an army of 10,000 men. You see, Dudley saw his own father beheaded in front of his eyes when he was 6, and he won't allow his son to share the same fate. Very Games of Thrones-y. Guilford tells his father to be honest and admit he is protecting himself, but his father tells him he doesn't want his honesty, a sly allusion to his mother's death, which sets Guilford off in a rage, and he storms off. We head back to Jane, who is lying in bed, feeling impotent and out of control, when a guard enters, hands her a hideous dress, and announces she will be given a trial tomorrow. And sure, the odds are stacked against her, but Jane is delusional enough to think she has found a measure of control in this situation, and maybe she can save herself. She spends all night studying like the nerd she is.
Meanwhile, fellow nerd Edward is super excited to visit his first tavern. It soon becomes obvious that this is an Ethian tavern at that, which shocks Eddie because those are supposed to be banned. Quote, You can't ban people, no matter how hard you try, says Fitz. So they're there to find a chap who might sneak them into the palace. And as they begin to drink down their peasant beer, as Eddie calls it, they share a bit of a flirty look and banter, and we are extremely here for this. Yes!
Yes!
Cut to Guilford, sneaking through the window of Jane's bedroom, something I was also very here for. He finds her dozing, and when he wakes her, she literally throws herself into his arms, and they begin making out. Like, literally, no, hey, you
hey, how you doing?
No.
Yeah,
fair enough.
None of that.
Fair enough. It's very cute. He apologizes for leaving and nearly getting himself killed. She blames it all on her mother. They make out some more. Guilford grabs her cloak and tries to get her to leave out of the bedroom window with him. But she says she can't leave. Mary will kill her family. Guilford offers to stay, but then Mary will find out he's an Ethian and probably torture him to death too, so Jane won't have it. Angsty music begins to play as they both realise the enormity of their situation. One of them probably going to die, so this could be the last time they're alone. So they of course decide to have very hot but still kind of sad sex. The best kind.
Yes.
That as we discovered on Normal People, the perfect kind of sex scene.
Yes.
Okay, so we cut to them post-coitus. They're lying in each other's arms, and Jane tells him she knows about his mother and she's really sorry. Guilford is finally able to open up about the experience. Apparently his mother and father were attacked by a band of Ethians. He was so scared he changed. He blacked out, but when he came round, his father told him his mother had been killed by the robbers. Following the incident, he kept having dreams that he had done it, that he had killed his mother, and he internalized his Ethianism as a curse. He has never actually asked his father for confirmation of this fear that he killed his mother because he's too much of a coward. And honestly, can people just fucking talk anyway?
Yes! It's so funny that we don't talk anymore. Jane tells him he is not a coward. Otherwise, he wouldn't have risked his life to save her. Although she won't let him, she tells him that if she can't prove her innocence, at least she will be able to save her family, and if she does lose her life, she will think about him. Guilford is on the verge of telling her he loves her when there is a knock on the door. Urgh! Jane rushes to distract him while Guilford sneaks back out a window.
I fully loved the guard. The way he was excited about it being a supermoon was very wholesome.
Yes.
He's just people.
Yes. Back at the Ethian Tavern, Edward and Fitz are ordering another round when talks turn to Fitz's twin sister, Alice, who I am dying to know more about, but they are interrupted by the arrival of Charles. Yes, that Charles from the palace. Edward gives him a big hug, and a shocked Charles tries to wrap his head around the fact that Edward is alive. Edward tries to get his head around Charles being an Ethian. Edward tells him he needs his help to save Jane. Jump cut to the next morning. Frances enters Mary's chambers and finds her daughter Margaret sitting beside the Queen dressed in an identical outfit. This is when Frances learns that she will be the new groom of the stool. Do we remember what that is, folks? And she's going to be wiping Mary's body on the rag. Super humiliating, of course. And it was all Margaret's idea. Lovely. Just lovely.
Where is her sibling loyalty, though? I'm very disappointed in Margaret. I get that she gets a cute outfit, but she's literally trying to hang your sister, mate.
Yep. Yeah. We cut to Dudley and a very drunk Stanley in the woods. Stan has drunk the best claret and decided he's going to London to help Guilford fight for the woman he loves. His father tries to stop him. Stanley screams that he is afraid. His father agrees that he is afraid. After losing his wife, I am sure he is desperate to keep his boys alive, but Stanley tells him that when they were boys, they had a saying, Dudleys never say die. So, off they go.
A bit of an ironic saying, considering how many of them got their heads taken off them.
Yeah, lots of them.
We cut to Jane, who arrives at the palace for her trial. She enters the privy chamber, where a large crowd has gathered to watch, and as she sits, Mary enters looking annoyed and tells everyone to get on with it. She noticed that Lord Seymour is conspicuously absent. Norfolk reads the charges against Jane, and Jane looks freaked out. Fair enough. We then cut to Edward and Fitz, who have been given servant uniforms to change in. Edward is excited to go save Jane and the kingdom, but Fitz is not changing. He tells Edward he would just be in the way, and he doesn't really feel like risking his neck for some bird he doesn't even know. Edward looks disappointed, and they part with a passive-aggressive cheers. Again, somebody talk about their feelings. Back to the trial. Norfolk is still talking, and he pulls up the document ending law in which Jane signed Jane the Queen. I love that they didn't even make it Latin.
I know.
So funny. So this is their proof that Jane had false pretensions of being queen. Norfolk recommends that she is hung, drawn, and quartered. Jane then gives a speech in which she passionately proclaims that Edward named her queen, and she was bound to follow his divine wishes. And moreover, everyone in that room bowed and called her queen. So if she's a traitor, so is everyone else there.
Yup.
That was so smart.
Mary then claims that the will naming Jane was a clear forgery. Elizabeth then stands and calls that a lie. She says she saw the will with her own eyes and it is real. Elizabeth asks her what they would do if they were in Jane's position. She had no choice but to accept the orders handed down with grace and dignity. Mary has a massive freakout and starts screaming at Elizabeth to shut up, but it's too late. A buzz is spreading around the room and people are cheering for Jane as she is led away. Jane is confined to a room until the jury reaches their verdict. As she waits, she meets with Edward, who she assumed was dead, so she's pretty delighted to see him, and they have a big, excited bear hug. It's really, really sweet. Yeah. Meanwhile, Mary is freaking out in her chambers and yelling at Norfolk when Lord Seymour arrives, promising that he can fix everything for her if she gives him what he wants. She rolls her eyes and says, fine, they can marry. Now, what's this big news? We cut back to Edward and Jane, who are all caught up. Edward assumes he can just waltz in and save the day, but Jane is pretty sure Mary will just have him killed again, so she tells him that if he wishes to reclaim the throne, he should do it properly. Rally an army, perhaps join forces with Scotland or France. You know, Henry Tudor style. In the meantime, they should go back in hiding, and Jane will go confront Mary and finish the trial. They hug and part. Jane is taken back into the chambers to hear the verdict. She is found not guilty, and the narrator chimes in, that's right, innocent. I told you we were changing history. A massive cheer goes around the palace, and Jane smiles. Edward, who's trying to escape out the palace, hears the cheers and smiles. That's when he bumps into Fitz, who has come back. He explains that for the longest time, Fitz has only been able to care about himself and his sister, who is imprisoned in Lord Seymour's zoo of Ethians. He had been outside the palace the night he got snatched, saw him, so I followed. He had planned to trade Edward in exchange for his sister, but obviously, when given the chance, he couldn't do it. He says, so now you know everything. You can hate me if you want to. And Edward is like, nah, and kisses him. And then they kiss some more. Yeah, and more.
Delightful, but I kept wondering, like, people are going to come around that corner and start to do.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be quick, sneaky sneak. Anyway. Loved it, but slightly worried.
Yes.
Back inside, Jane is having her shackles taken off. Everything seems hunky-dory, but there's still a few minutes left of the episode, so I was panicking.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, Rupert, Guildford's groom, is brought in as a prisoner. He looks very banged up, so he's obviously been on the receiving end of a lot of violence. Which is why, when Lord Seymour asks him to repeat his claim to the crowd, Rupert announces that Guildford Dudley is an Ethian. Brand new information! Mary announces that Jane has married an Ethan knowingly, in clear violation of the division laws, and she is now sentenced to death again. Okay, but still point out,
knowingly?
She signed the document ending division laws, so how can she be hanged for breaking division laws? I'm sorry, get yourself a lawyer, Jane. I could argue.
Yes.
Just hire me. I'd argue your case. Anyway, a distressed Frances screams at Jane to deny this charge, but when Horse Guildford is brought into the room, Jane can't help but cry out in distress. I was just also thinking about the logistics of getting the horse in the hallway, and anyway, Mary's like, wait for it, and points to the setting sun. She's waiting for him to transform in front of the room of witnesses. And a distressed Jane tries to run to Horse Guildford and comfort him. But as soon as the light changes, he's like, he starts reeling up in his horsey form and changes into a man. And he turns in front of an entire crowd who gasp in horror. Honestly, like, these people must have seen Ethians change all the time. Like, calm down. Anyway, he's shoved onto his knees in front of Jane, and he begs her for her forgiveness. The episode ends, and I was like, for fuck's sake. The end.
No.
Another plot twist, Michelle. What's your sizzling hot take?
I thought it was well done. I was really glad about the trial and how that was presented. I was screaming when Guildford was brought into the room as a horse, and yeah.
Can you believe the sentence that just left your mouth? Guildford was brought into the room as a horse.
Yes, as a horse.
Yeah.
Nay. Oh my God.
I would have died if at some point, like, Jane had said, nay, he is not a horse.
That would have been a fun bit of wordplay. But I thought that the episode was great. It held the tension, and I can't wait to watch the final episode as soon as we finish this up.
I freaking love this episode. I thought it was great. I mean, I got everything I wanted. Jane saved herself from execution.
Yep.
Edward and Fitz made out.
Yep.
Guilford and Jane reunited and had some great sex scenes. We got finally got the backstory with his mother. And there was adventure, there was sexy times, and most importantly, I got some delicious angst. I love that shit. This was some just exquisite angst. Well done, show.
Yeah.
This was great. Yes. I mean, the moment when Guilford and Jane are on their knees in front of each other and the episode ends, it was one of the saddest, hottest, wonderful. I just love it. I just love it. I'm such a slut for angsty romance, and this was like, we're gonna die together. These star-crossed lovers.
It doesn't get much more angsty than this.
This is perfect.
It was great. And the fact that I am screaming no at the television when you know what the history is, you know that they're talking about changing history on this show, but I don't know how they're gonna get out of this.
They're not gonna die, are they? I just don't think no. I don't know.
Well, if they're looking to try and do, the fans are begging for a season 2, then obviously, she's going to be around at least. But I don't know how they would be able to save her and kill him off. They are a pair. Period.
We'll talk about how this could be resolved.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that it's happening because I love an intense sort of, oh my god, we could die moment. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me. There's a broken part in my body and my soul and my psyche that just loves this delicious, delicious angst. This is my jam. I thought Edward Bluemel oh my god, his angsty face. His angsty little heartbroken face this whole episode. It was doing it for me. I'm not going to lie. It was extremely good. Yeah.
You gotta tell me, you must have been in heaven at the end of Titanic.
I don't really like Titanic.
Oh, well, okay.
I don't really like the love story. I think that.
Oh, okay.
My favourite. Okay, this is gonna get me cancelled. I kind of liked Billy Zane's character in Titanic. I thought he was the most...
No!
He's a terrible person, but he was the most compellingly written character and the best acted character. Awful. But the way he would manipulate and scheme his way off that boat was interesting. Those two dumbasses were just running around for 3 hours, getting themselves into terrible situations again and again. And by the end of it, I was like, okay, one of you's dead. You could have died 17 times by now. It was heartbreaking. His Italian best friend. That's the guy that broke my heart. He should have been the main character. I found his sketching creepy and Rose was annoying. We've gone on a tangent about Titanic and I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I brought that up, people. That one's on me.
Have I seen the film like 17 times? Yes. But it's not for the love story.
I see.
It's not a good, well-constructed story, and that's I'm willing to okay, send in your angry emails into inthebookspodcast@gmail.com. I will argue with you. So one thing I really enjoyed about this episode was that James does save herself. This was such an excellent decision. Last week we read the description about Edward and Guilford trying to save her, and I kind of wanted to roll my eyes at the thought of these men riding in to save her at the end of the day because wildly off-brand for the show. But Jane did the thing. She went to court.
Yeah.
She argued. Brilliant case. She was smart enough to implicate everyone with her. She was like, if I'm going down, I'm taking you motherfuckers with me. And she argued that, like, the one reason I could legitimately imagine the jury saying, okay, well, we got to find her innocent, because if we don't find her innocent, then we're all implicated too. It was clever. I think if they had just gone on, well, she seems like a nice person, and maybe this was just a big mistake, I would have been like, fuck you. But it was smart. And I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here for watching smart characters.
Yeah, they did a wonderful job with that. And that last little dig that she gave, it was like, well, y'all cheering and bowing and all that stuff, so join the treason bus. We have cookies. Oh, gosh.
I love that she came in holding that huge book and never used it once.
No.
I was like, is she going to use that as
a
weapon?
And then she set it down, and then she leaned on it.
I could see her just like swinging that shit around and hitting Mary with it in the face next episode. Somebody's got to hit Mary.
Oh my God.
I also enjoyed the choice to have her downfall not be the treason shit, but her ties to Guildford, because I think one thing the show's done a really good job of is establishing that her sympathy for Ethion's the thing that led to the downfall of her reign. And it makes perfect sense that that's what would fuck her over in the end, not the stupid stuff with the will. It's all about Ethionism. And, again, if you have this symbolic underclass, use the fucking trope well. And oh my God, the drama of him turning into a horse him being a horse and then turning into a human in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just like, oh no, you didn't.
Amazing horse acting as well. The horse was like acting. Oh my God.
That horse was working it.
I've seen worse performances from humans than that. That horse was like, it was like Brodi distress. And the way it reared, but I mean, it's like the horse knew it was in a very dramatic scene. How do you get a horse to act?
Oh, it's, a lot of conditioning training. So like giving them a cue. Yeah, giving them a cue. They do the thing and then they get a reward for it. So that's how it goes. But that horse, that is a beautiful horse. I haven't been that drawn to a horse since Poldark. Well, I mean, in the sense of admiring its beauty as an animal.
Well, that white horse that Stanley was on in the episode, I mean, that was a beautiful horse too. I was kind of like, why are we lingering on this horse? Is this horse... There was also a shot of Jane on a black horse as she was approaching the trial where I was like, is that him?
It's like, no.
Every time I see a fucking horse now.
He was looking from the bushes all jealous. He was. Like, oh.
I'm her main horse. Yeah.
You stupid black horse. Oh.
I started rewatching season 1 of The Empress, and that obviously that starts off the first episode where she's got that intense scene with a horse, and I was just like, oh man, what is it with these shows and horse actors? Where are they getting this?
They are coming up with some doozies, and
leave these horses alone.
Yeah, you have reminded me that I need to get my rewatch of The Empress under my belt because season 2 is coming on November 22nd. And we're gonna be there.
We're just crying through everything.
Yes.
I think I cried every episode watching that show. Even during the happy scenes. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, storylines.
Yes.
We finally got Guildford's backstory revealed. I'm not clear on what the fuck actually happened. I suspect he probably didn't kill his...
Same here.
I mean, okay. I hope that these question marks I have are answered by next week. I'm anxious that they won't, but I suspect... Okay, here's my theory. I think she was probably an Ethian too, because it's genetic, and maybe she tried to help him and got hurt with maybe some animal fightings, because I don't understand the logistics otherwise. If she was a human and he turned into a horse, how the fuck would he have killed her? Would he have clumpty clomp?
There'd be some mad clomping going on.
I don't the logistics of it don't make sense. If he turned into a scorpion or something deadly, but a horse. Like,
horse.
did she try to ride him and then he buckled her? Like, it doesn't, it was all very sad while he was saying it, but then I tried to picture how he could have killed her, and it all fell apart in my head. So I hope that we find out that he didn't kill her, because that was dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I could imagine that, if she wasn't an Ethian and he changed and was so freaked out about it, as he said he blacked out, that he was kicking and rearing and doing all that kind of stuff.
Him?
That's the thing, it's like he would have had to have, accidentally, reared and
kicked her in the face. It would have to be
through a claw upside her head or something like that.
But like she would have, I would blame her for that because she would have had to have come very close to a rearing up horse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if that's your son. You step away. Like,
and
also picturing it in my head, I can't help but think it looks comical.
Oh, Rita.
Everything about this horse thing makes me laugh.
Rita, you ghoul!
I'm sorry. I just think, like, if he's flailing around being a horse and she's coming towards him and he hits her, that's not on him. You can't spend your life guilty about your mum being stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I also don't.
He would be found not guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
That's not on him. I also don't respect the fact that he's never just asked his dad. I'm like, Guildford, just ask.
You can do it.
You can do it, babes. I believe in you.
Yes.
I'm sure that if he does just ask, Dudley's gonna be like, no.
Of course not.
Of
course not. And he'll be sitting there going, I have spent my entire life thinking about this.
And this is why you needed therapy.
Your dad is just shrugging it off like, no, you didn't.
I also feel like if he did kill his mother, his dad would be a lot more pissed off with him than he is. Even Stanley admits that Guildford is his favourite.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you be the favourite if you murdered his wife?
If you murdered his wife, yeah. Guildford, come on. Use the brain. Use the brain.
Come on, Guildford. We believe
12 hours. You've got a human brain. Work on that.
I'm sure horse brains are smart too. I don't know anything.
Wow.
I just think they're funny. Anyway. Sorry.
Fitzward.
Okay.
Fitzward.
I really needed this.
Oh, God, yes. I mean, it was telegraphed a mile away, like 2 episodes ago.
I mean, they were basically eye-fucking each other as soon as he was introduced.
Yeah.
We love that.
Pretty much. But that kiss.
I'm sorry, but I think this might have been the only joy I felt this week. I loved it. And Edward in the pub and the look of pure wonder on his face.
Yes!
He sipped that delicious peasant beer and Fitz was just like, oh my God, this rich kid is such a loser, but I love him.
I mean, oh my goodness. If Edward wasn't doing his best to try and resolve the situation with Jane.
I would have just been making out of that pub forever.
Yeah. I mean, he would have gone, hell no, I'm not going to go back to that castle. Fitz, let's get ourselves a little hut somewhere, in the village, and we'll just chill. It'll be good.
I did enjoy the twist about his motivation being about his sister and wanting to exchange Edward for his sister. I did feel like it didn't have enough build up. Because I feel like that should have been telegraphed a bit more. But fair enough, this is a very short scene, and they only introduced him like 2 episodes ago.
Right.
And they want to get to the kissing. So, fair enough.
Yes.
I'd rather take the kissing than the backstory, but I did feel like there was some angst in that they could have mined, and I'm always like, let's not waste the angst when the angst is on the table, It felt like
let's get it.
it felt like their little tiff was like barely anything. Like I barely noticed that Fitz wasn't in the palace with him. I was like, why would he be in the palace? And then he came back, and I was like, well, yeah, of course.
Of course he's coming back.
it wasn't angsty enough. But you know, we got a schedule.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Lord Dudley's hidden depths.
Yeah, so I want to talk about this for a second, because I mean we've spoken about how Frances, like, comically evil, but there is some depth to her character, which we will talk about later. But Lord Dudley, like, we got a bit of some backstory and a bit of an exploration of why he's so desperate to social climb. I think all season it's looked like he was just selfish, but I think he's looking for safety in a really dangerous environment that he was born into. You know, his father was killed, spoiler alert for the historical corner, but really for rather a silly reason. So I think his crazy quest for power is actually just about him trying to feel secure and feel like he can protect his loved ones. And I think on reflection, this whole season was about making sure Guildford and his family were safe. Yep. He's just scared, and I think that's probably what's motivating Frances as well. Actually, now that I think about it,
I mean, in the time, you know, when they're living, you know, they had just lived through a king who had killed who knows how many people that he once loved. You know,
family members. Intimate brother-in-law.
Yes.
Like, we'll just kill you.
You know, some of the advisors that he once cherished.
The way he turned on Wosley was like, oh, psychotic. Father figures, you're dead to me.
I would be afraid of putting one foot the wrong way myself. You know, as we look into the history and we see the challenges the Dudleys had, you know, as they go on, you know, living in that environment, you know, you talk about political savvy, you have to have it and have to know how to use it in order to survive it.
But then, if you have too much of it, King Henry VIII will kill you.
Exactly. Don't get too big for your britches.
Cromwell, this one goes out to you, my fan.
Yes. Oh man. He got what was coming to him. Yeah, he did.
Anyway,
he did.
Frances, I loved the performance from Anna Chancellor in the trial sequence. It's like she's usually giving fun comedy vibes, but then the anguish in her voice is pleading for Jane to deny that Guildford is a horse. The moment where she's like, that's just a horse, and that should have been funny, but it was actually genuinely heartbreaking.
Heartrending. You know, such an incredible performance in that scene, and just shows the versatility that she has, because, you know, we've been laughing and yucking it up over her since the beginning of the series. We were able to see her terror and heartbreak, you know, on screen, and it was frighteningly real.
I did think it was interesting that, like, she kept her composure throughout the trial, but then it's Guildford got brought in and she completely lost her shit straight away.
Yes.
And I think it's because, you know, she's familiar with the bullshit of court life and people getting accused of things, and people can talk their way back from that. But I imagine that no one has ever been able to talk their way out of being an atheist, especially in Henry VIII's court. So God knows what he did to Anne Boleyn. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, me neither.
So I think as soon as she knew that was like that, the one thing you can't escape from, that's when she finally responded like a mother and not a courtier.
Yes.
And that was a bit heartbreaking to see. God damn it, these actors are very good. Like, the way they can go from comedy to intense, emotional heartbreak.
Yeah.
this episode.
It
was like,
yeah.
it was really intense.
It's amazing.
And
yeah.
Such a fine line, like comedy drama, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just kudos. Well done, Francis. Well done, Francis.
Screw you, Margaret.
Yeah. I mean, Margaret, if she was doing something to try and get in close with the Queen so that she could pull off some...
Oh my God, could she please murder her? She is a murderer.
Yeah,
please murder her.
Exactly.
That would be cool.
Pull off some kind of rascally plan. That would be great. But, talk about betrayal.
She's even dressing like her. That's ridiculous.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Honestly.
Ugh.
Princess Elizabeth. I love this character. I was delighted to see her standing up to Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if part of why they're doing this is to set up her becoming the Queen at the end of the show, because I feel like she's gotten a lot of, like, dignity. And, like, she always does the right thing. And she got to show her heart and her integrity. And I think it makes the most logical sense to just skip over Mary's reign of terror and head into the Elizabethan era. Plus we got that line earlier in the season where Margaret Beaufort was like, there is talk of a glorious reign of an Ethian ruler. She's assuming that it's a king, but it's actually Elizabeth. And it would coincide with the whole golden age that is the Elizabeth. Yeah, it would just make sense.
Yep. Yeah.
And I would love it.
What do you think Elizabeth is as an Ethian?
I think you said she was like some kind of lion, and I think that would probably... lioness makes the most sense to me. She has the speech where she says she has a lion heart, so...
yeah. Good point.
In history, it just makes the most sense. Like, let's pull... The show's really smart, and they've pulled a lot from real historical facts and woven it into the text of the show in really interesting ways. I just think, like...
Yeah.
Plus, she says something a bit, like, feline about her. I did think she could just be a domestic cat, but then we've got Fitz, who is a cat, so, like, I think maybe you're right with the... I think you were right, you know? I got the turtle thing. I think you're a lion. You got the lion.
Okay.
Who decided?
That's gonna be my prediction that will hopefully come true, and we'll be able to go, ha-ha! Isn't that amazing?
Again, like, I think they've, like, telegraphed it really well in subtle ways. And, like, when she smashed open the... Yeah, it has to be a big animal. So we're going on, and she smashed something open. She's a bloody lion.
Yeah, she's a lion.
Plus, can you imagine seeing that? The transformation would be epic.
Yes.
Mary and Seymour.
Holy shit, they're crazy.
I know I shouldn't feel bad for Seymour. He's psychotic. But he basically had to blackmail his girlfriend into proposing. Like, that's not... That's insanity.
Oh, my God. Oh, like, fine, we'll get married.
I mean, Mary, come on.
Yeah. Well, she was cozying up to Norfolk.
Well, there was trouble in paradise. He wasn't doing what she wanted.
Yeah.
The way Norfolk was, like, absolutely hating her being queen was delicious.
Yes. He's like, shit.
Every time she speaks, a part of him dies inside. He's just like, I regret this so much. I just feel like if Jane just has to look at him the right way, he's turning against Mary.
Yeah. You're like, Mary, we're done.
I didn't there was like there's been a lack of Lord Seymour generally in the last couple episodes. And I hope we get more of him next episode, because I love me some Dominic Cooper insane.
Oh my God. He's been so much fun to watch in this. And, just, I see his face now in my mind and I just laugh.
It's like got this little face. I just think, like, I am never recovering from the fact that he's 6. Like, that's insane. He looks 30.
Yeah, he does look fairly young. But Dominic Cooper, what a genius.
He's gonna be so pissed when Mary loses. Like, I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those two are just horrible. They need to go away. Or someone needs to kill them. There
That
we
would
go.
be nice.
Yeah.
So, this episode we had the kind of disappearance of the granny
Yes,
and the
and
Archer
Archer.
plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
They completely
They've had to...
drop this, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they don't have enough time
To do everything.
to be able to continue to have them on the show since, they're down to this and the next episode, and that's it.
Yeah,
but
I am sort of
knock
anxious
on
though
wood
because
for
I
something more.
need to have those storyline threads meet
Mhm.
whatever we're going through with Jane and Guilford and everything.
Mhm.
Because I think the granny shit is so incredibly removed from what's happening in London that I wonder how could it feed back? It's got to feed back. Also, Petunia. What's going on with Petunia? Where is she?
Petunia just went a little bonkers with her little assassin wannabe thing.
So, when Fitz first mentioned a sister, I was like, is that Petunia? And now I'm like, no, that can't be Petunia because his sister is first called Anna and B, not fucking insane, surely.
Yeah. And didn't Fitz say that they're twins?
Yeah, but they might not be identical.
Both cats.
Yeah, but
They could
right.
both
But
be
I was
cats.
thinking he's a cat and she's a dog.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that could work.
But I don't know. That's just me spitballing because I want to try and make all of the plot fit back together in a neat little bow. Which I know I've said Rita, lower your expectations. It's not going to work. But I'm like.
I mean, when does it ever wrap itself up in a bow?
It's got to have happened. It happened on Normal People. We loved that ending. Well, no, I loved that ending. You were kind of sad.
But, yeah, we'll have to think about it.
Are
Look
there
back
any
over.
good endings to things? We're usually just annoyed. I quite liked the ending of The Empress, and we liked Pachenko and shit. We're not always haters. We're just dissatisfied by a lot of writing. I think endings are really hard, and I think we need to lower our expectations. But I also can't help but feel like the show has been so good that I can't lower my expectations.
Yeah. It's like they can't let me down
Not
with
now.
The last episode. They can't. If they do, I'm going to be so upset. But no, I'm going to continue to be positive.
Okay.
And yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Historical corner.
Brace yourselves. Okay, this week you're getting a lot of different random information because I felt like they mentioned a whole bunch of different things that I want to talk about. Okay, so Mary's first speech when she enters and announces that she's going to be the queen and blah blah blah. This is basically cribbed from a speech that Queen Mary the First actually made in real life on the 1st of February 1554 as London was threatened by the rebel army of Thomas Watt. I think they mentioned the poem earlier that everything fits together. So the rebellion arose out of concern over Mary's determination to marry her first cousin Philip II of Spain, and to return England to the Catholic Church and papal authority. She gave this. That's why she mentions rebels. It's a direct quote. It literally didn't make much sense outside of the context of this situation, but I did love that they gave Mary a historically accurate moment. I thought that was fun.
That's class.
The show is doing things that you don't even pick up on when you watch it the first time. That's really good. Okay, so why was Edmund Dudley executed? That is Lord Dudley's dad. So, when Henry VII died in 1509, Edward Dudley was in prison and charged with the crime of destructive treason. Dudley's nominal crime was that during the last illness of Henry VII, he had ordered his friends to assemble in arms in case the king died. But the real reason for his charge was his unpopularity stemming from his financial transactions. He was executed 17th of August 1510 on Tower Hill. He owed people some money, so Henry VIII killed him.
Wow.
I think like every week we're like, here's someone else Henry VIII killed.
Mm-hmm.
I
I mean, the man was just, he was a terror.
I really hate him. I don't know if that's come
Yeah.
across, but I would spit on him.
Yeah, I didn't have too many feelings about him one way or another, but, after all of the shows and things that we have done on this show, yeah, just go away. You're a freaking lunatic.
Yes.
And
I'm glad that I
you're a
radicalized
misogynistic
you.
bastard. Yes.
Okay. This episode mentioned Julian of Norwich's words. So Julian of Norwich was an English anchoress of middle age. She's a lady. For some reason,
Yes.
Julian was a name women back then. Her writings, known as The Revelation of Divine Love, which is a great name, are the earliest surviving English language works attributed. She wrote in English because most women were denied the education necessary to write in Latin, which was the language of the church. So yay! She wrote the line, all will be well, all manner of things be well, during the time when England was being ravaged by the Black Plague, and her work is about surrendering your wills to God. So really, when Jane said that, I was like, no, this is not a good quote for you to use right now. You don't want to be doing that. No.
There's an air of fatalism in that quote. I mean, it would be a quote that would have been good to use during 2020 Rona.
I would have been like, no, thank you. Let's not surrender. Let's do some science, please.
Exactly.
Let's do the science.
You sciencey people, get to work.
I mean, I like that she's quoting a famous learned woman in a moment of distress. But I like that there's also a moment where she goes, wait, what the fuck did I just say? I don't really mean that. I thought that was really smart. And also for like a show that is about to make a joke about wiping someone's bottom, like that's quite a highbrow reference. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay. The Groom of the Stool. Here's a brief history of the Groom of the Stool. Sorry, I was trying to say stroll because I feel like I don't want to picture the poo. Okay. The Groom of the Stool was a male servant in the household of the English monarch who was responsible for assisting the king in his...
Oh my God.
That was like Middle Ages. By the Tudor age, the role of Groom of the Stool was transformed into that of personal secretary to the king, carrying out a variety of administrative tasks within his private rooms. The position was an especially prized one as it allowed unobstructed access to the king. The office was exclusively one serving male monarchs. So, it was replaced by the First Lady of the Bedchamber for Queen Elizabeth. She was like, no one's wiping my bottom.
Yes, thank you very much.
On the accession of James Stewart, the male office was revived as Senior Gentleman of the Bedchamber. During the reign of Charles I, the term stool appears to have lost its original significance of chair and has become associated with shit. It's around then. The office of Groom of the Stool was revived after the restoration of the monarchy. There was a brief period where we had no kings.
Yeah, we had the whole Cromwell thing, and not good.
Yeah, but it was effectively the position of head of the royal bedchamber. I mean, it was called Groom of the Stool, but they weren't wiping bottoms anymore. So that happened for a few Stuart generations. Incongruously, the office of Groom of the Stool, it depends on who's writing it.
Okay.
The spelling changes. It continued in use during the reign of Queen Anne. So she's the only female monarch to have ever had this position, and it was held by a duchess who combined its duties with those of Mistress of the Robes, also ridiculous role. Anne likes to be an outlier, so she's got to be like, what are gender roles? Calm down, Anne. Under the Hanoverians, the Groom of the Stool began to be named in the London Gazette, which was kind of like the official newspaper of the British government. All of the news came out, but it was officially stabbed by the government. You need to know who the men are in the bedchamber. So at this point, this role evolved again. This nobleman had the honour to present and put on His Majesty's first garment or shirt every morning, and to order the things of the bedchamber. So yeah, he was
The first garment.
he's
shirt.
putting on his shirt in the morning, but it's like
Shirt and panties.
ooh. By 1740, the groom of the stole is described as having the care of the wardrobe. So he's expanded to different shirts.
Yes.
Delightful. The office again fell into abeyance with the accession of Queen Victoria, and it was just never revived again because by that point monarchs were starting to dress themselves and put their own shirts on, clean their own bottoms, live their own lives, and everything was fine. We didn't need that. But if you want to, there is a list on Wikipedia with every single person who's ever had this job.
Oh my God!
It's great. People used to fight over having this job, which is crazy. I mean, I know we associate it with wiping bottoms, and it's not really been that since
for some time,
really long time. But I don't want to trust the king. That's shit.
No, I don't want my hand anywhere near the king's nasty asshole. No thank you. I gotta contend with my own. And that's enough.
You did have to look after the king's bedchamber financially though, so you did get access to money. So I think that's why everyone was fighting over it, because they were like, skim some money off the side. That's why everyone was like, I've got to get myself appointed to that. But I don't think that I would ever. No. I don't think it's worth it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I've been talking long enough. What's your favourite performance? Why is it the horse?
Well, I was going to say the horse did a bang out job. I thought that Fitzward, their performances were lovely.
Great kissing.
Mm-hmm. I thought our lovely Jane did a great job. And Frances, I got to tip my hat to Frances, I think, for her performance this week. Yeah. How about you?
My vote would go Edward Bluemel, because he made me cry this week. I mean, it doesn't take much to make me cry, but I think the whole sequence in the bedroom where he's trying to tell her we need to leave, and she won't, was really heartbreaking. And he does such great angst work. I think the monologue about his mother is genuinely moving and really great acting. And I believe him wholeheartedly when he said he killed his mother, even though it makes no fucking logical sense. So the emotion feels true enough to the point where I suspended my disbelief long enough until I was writing the recap of the show, and I was like, wait, how does the horse kill her? But the fact that he was giving such a good performance that didn't even occur to me in the moment is a testament to the acting skills thing.
Oh gosh. Favorite scenes?
Sexy. I thought the sex scene was really good.
It was beautiful.
I mean, it was hot, but in a non-exploitative way that doesn't make me feel icky. So congrats to the show for letting me enjoy a sex scene. I so rarely feel comfortable enough to do that.
Yeah, it was very nicely done. I wonder if they had an intimacy coordinator for this. I would assume so, since it seems to be the hot new job.
I feel like it's got to be written into everyone's contract at this.
I would think so.
I hope Edward Bluemel wasn't just getting his butt out for no coordination. I feel like
here, let me flash my bottom.
I just feel like it looked too well done to have been sloppily designed by the actors. But I don't know. I was judged.
Yeah.
I hope so, for everyone's sake.
I thought the scene in the courtroom was great.
The Fitzwood kiss.
Yes, the Fitzwood. Yes, they're so sweet.
I also really liked when Sally and Lord Dudley are let's go save Guildford then. That made my heart whole.
That was so sweet, and I'm loving Stanley now. you know?
I loved him before in an ironic way, but now my love is sincere.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's a good way of describing it. Yep.
Okay. Hair.
Costumes, hair, makeup, locations, anything?
So I love Jane's white slip. So historically inaccurate. But man, did she look great in it. I just kept being like, man, I wish I looked like that. My robes don't do that anymore, gravity. I also loved the Puritan little black dress with the white colour. Unexpectedly chic. She said it was ugly, but I was here for it. I thought that was perfect. Like, I'm an innocent. I thought they also did this thing with Mary's makeup. Like, she was paler, and she was wearing, like, weird red rouge for the first time. And it was very Uncanny Valley.
Yeah. She is becoming a caricature of herself.
She's the Bloody Mary time.
Yeah. In advance, but we know it's coming.
She's been bloody enough. I suppose she hasn't killed anyone, but there was attempted murder. A lot of attempted murder. So much attempted murder.
Yeah.
Location. Location.
Oh, location. Sorry.
I just want to say that I really loved the Ethian Tavern, and I want to go there. If that exists, let me hang out there. What I think I loved the most about it is that it felt a bit like a gay bar, in that like everyone in the bar knows each other and they hang out, but then outside of the bar, code of silence. Like,
exactly.
You don't know me.
I don't know you.
You don't know that I'm an Ethian. I loved that Charles was like, well, that's my personal life. Like, get out of my business.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the parallels that we've had in this show with, our current social existing boy, that was really crappy English, but our current social situation, it's been very easy to kind of equate metaphors and things along those lines, but you're right that the pub really does remind me of a gay bar from like the 70s or 80s where
it's like underground,
things were still really hush.
They're in the basement, but it's like it's rowdy in there, but above you probably don't know what's happening. But also like Charles being an Ethian makes me think like, is everyone a fucking Ethian on this show? Like everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to bet. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that there are so many Ethians in that court.
Yeah.
That it's just laughable.
I don't think it's going to take much for them to be like, actually, you know what? We outnumber them now. Now's the time.
Let's take him.
I want to know what kind of Ethian Charles is. Like, give me his animal. It was disappointing we never got him change. I hope
we do. He could be a possum. He would be a cute possum. Don't you think?
I don't. Aww. I have no relationship with possums.
Oh, you don't have possums over there?
No, that's very like North American.
Wow. Well, you look
horrified. Like, oh no.
Well, I had no idea that you didn't have possums over there.
I've never seen a possum. From my relationship to American TV shows, they've always been like terrible, awful things that you want to get rid of. So I'm like, I can see him being like a badger or something. He'd be a really cute badger.
They kind of look like.
They look like a badger? Like, I feel like he has badger vibes. Do you have badgers?
It kind of looks like a little rat.
Oh, I've giggled. Oh, that's really fucking...
Yeah.
No, but that's...
Possum? Yes.
Oh, well, no, the eyes are not okay. It's like black pits of despair. There's no... They're dilated to shit. Oh my god.
That's a sting.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would be a good possum.
I feel like he's something more benign and cuddly. No. He's a sweet little child. Okay.
All right.
Nonsense over. Let's talk about the music. We
Awesome music as always.
got another gossip song, which makes my little millennial heart happy. The Dreamer cover I thought was fantastic. Dreamer. Like, what a fucking ironic song.
I know, right?
That moment.
Like, God.
I feel like they were trolling her with that music choice.
Yeah, like she would be going, shut up! Shut up!
I didn't recognize the rest of the music, but I thought it was great. Fear is like a forest when Jane and Guilford were fucking. Absolutely.
That was a lovely piece.
Oh, good. Dark Horse by the Velveteers, which as soon as I was listening to the lyrics being like, oh, you're again trolling us. That was when Jane was riding towards her trial. And then Dream Baby Dream by Savages. It was the song that played while Guilford was like apologizing and on his knees, and then boom. I like their credit song choice. I always feel like they pick a song that fits the mood of the final moment, and that seems like an obvious thing to do, but so many shows don't bother. They just
exactly.
It's over, go home.
They will have a song that they play for all of their credits, and this just gives you a moment to continue to.
You're still processing,
thinking about and processing what you've just seen, and you've got this music that is going along with it. It's great.
I loved it.
It's great. Yeah.
Anything
they're wonderful.
You did not like. You didn't like. Sorry.
No.
No. I'm sorry, but there's nothing to dislike.
No! God, this show is so good.
Everything was great. How many horseshoes out of 5 then?
4.75.
Yeah, because I was still going to say, I started at 4.5. I kind of want to go to 5, but now I'm like somewhere in the middle. So we're agreed.
Yeah, not quite. I want to save that room for the final episode.
Yeah, but I feel like this was close to perfection as you could get. This was everything. This was great. Okay.
So our episode 8 summary reads...
Now, hold my hand, Michelle.
Okay, I shall. Let's give a warm welcome to the newest tenant of the Tower of London, Jane Grey. Another doomed damsel, her hands in chains, and her neck on the chopping block. History demands Jane's death.
Well, fuck that.
I mean, she was only doing what her cousins asked her to.
No, but we've dealt with that. This is the marrying an Ethian thing now. That's why she's...
Oh, yeah. Right.
She was only doing what her mother demanded her to.
Exactly. To marry Guilford. She didn't want to do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, if she says that now, then they're like, all right, we'll just kill him then. You'll be fine with that if you're fine with... And then she's got to, be responsible for his death.
No, they can't do that.
Exactly. So she's got to die. I can't wait to see how they do. I'm scared.
God.
I'm nervous.
God.
I hope that I like them.
I do too. I'm afraid if I don't, I'm going to be upset. And I have had enough to be upset about this week, damn it.
We deserve some joy. That's all from us this episode. We'll be back next week discussing the final episode. I cannot wait. If you want to contact us, you can email us at inthebooksnetwork@gmail.com. We're on Insta, where I'm posting delightful recaps from the show, so please follow if you want bonus content and updates on the podcast. If you enjoyed this pod, please rate, review, tell your friends, tell everyone. Strangers on the street, mild acquaintances. Okay, thank you for everyone for listening, and see you all next time.
Yes, bye.